The loneliness of the long-distance empath. Long-distance empaths have always existed within the fuel matrix of the narcissist, although they were comparatively rare, since the method of communication with the long-distance empath would only occur through telephone, postal service, and carrier pigeon. Fuel provision was intermittent and small in amount. Yes, the long-distance empath, the LDE, existed, but was not an integral part of the narcissist's fuel matrix. Then along came the internet. Now the LDE is far more common, and most narcissists will have an LDE in the fuel matrix. So what is the long-distance empath? 1. It is not somebody who is already in the fuel matrix, who goes on holiday for 2 weeks, even if that is on the other side of the world. 2. It is not somebody who is already in the fuel matrix who goes away with work across the country for a few months. 3. It is somebody who lives an aeroplane journey away or 4 or more hours drive away. 4. It is somebody who the narcissist met electronically, such as through a dating site or app, on social media, or in a chat room. This is a fundamental criterion. 5. It is somebody where the interaction between the narcissist and victim is conducted through telephone calls, text messages, emails, social media messages, FaceTime, and or Skype and equivalents. 6. The interaction has not involved any actual face-to-face meeting at any point. 7. The interaction has continued for 6 months or more without any physical meeting taking place. So, where does the LDE sit in the fuel matrix of the narcissist? The non-intimate secondary source. This conceivably could be a colleague, for instance, individuals who work in separate and distant offices who have not met in person. It might also include family, if the family members have never met, say cousins, but again, it is rare. More usually, with regard to the non-intimate secondary source, it concerns a friend. The NISS LDE is treated in a shelf style, just like any other NISS. There will be a Hoover trigger. For instance, the NISS texts the narcissist. The NISS emails the narcissist, or the narcissist just happens to think of the NISS. The Hoover execution criteria will then usually be met because the nature of the Hoover will be electronic in nature, meaning it is far more likely to occur, and this is how the NISS is taken off the shelf. They are hoovered off the shelf. The NISS LDE will usually remain painted white and in a golden period almost all of the time. This is because, 1, the intermittent nature of shelf interaction prevents the fuel becoming stale, and therefore that particular devaluation trigger is avoided. 2, the intermittent nature of shelf interaction means the NISS has less opportunity to do something which challenges the narcissist and accordingly receive a corrective devaluation. The NISS LDE, who is a friend to the narcissist, holds a moderate to moderate high position within the fuel matrix in terms of potency and also with regard to the amount of fuel provided, because as the interactions are electronic in nature, they will not involve a physically proximate interaction. The NISS LDE is found mainly with those in the online video game community. The narcissist will be part of a gaming group and will repeatedly interact with many NISSs, and often at the same time and for hours on end. This form of interaction is often using microphones and headphones whilst gaming, so there is a voice exchange, which is a moderately high amount of fuel, but of sustained and prolonged frequency. Those narcissists who are interested in gaming will often retreat to their bolt hole when the intimate partner, primary source, is in a devaluation, and ensconced there, have their fuel needs addressed by this online gaming community, night after night. A steady flow of moderately potent, moderately high in amount, and certainly sufficient to sustain the narcissist alongside the negative fuel provided in person by the ignored, exasperated, and of course, in devaluation, intimate partner primary source. The intimate partner secondary source. The long-distance empath, who is an intimate partner secondary source, will be treated like a dirty little secret for the most part. Since the category is secondary source, again the appliance is treated in a shelf manner, so that when there is a Hoover trigger and the Hoover execution criteria are met, the narcissist will hoover by taking this type of LDE off the shelf. The interaction with this LDE is one whereby they are isolated from the rest of the narcissist's fuel matrix. Yes, the narcissist may well talk about other people in the fuel matrix, but this LDE, like the in-the-flesh equivalent of the dirty little secret, does not meet, speak to, or see the friends, family and colleagues of the narcissist. They are kept in an electronic box and taken out when the narcissist wants fuel. The LDE IPSS has been recruited into the fuel matrix for one purpose and one purpose alone: sexual interaction. There will be sexting, dirty telephone calls involving mutual masturbation, the sending of nude pictures, the creation of and sending sexual videos, emails detailing what the narcissist wants to do to the LDE. How does the interaction play out between the narcissist and the LDE IPSS? 1. Owing to the intermittent nature of the interaction, fuel does not become stale, and therefore this devaluation trigger is not applicable. 2. It is a shelf dynamic, and therefore the LDE IPSS will be taken off and placed on the shelf repeatedly, taken off for some texting, for a session of mutual masturbation on Skype, or for a dirty telephone call. 3. If you are an LDE IPSS, you will not be the only one. There will be others. The dick pic you have just received, well, 2 other people will have received it, and as you are striking a pose in the bedroom and firing back that topless picture, at least another person will be doing similar. The narcissist prefers to have several LDE IPSSs on the go because they are easy to find. There are hunting grounds all over the internet, and it is easy to hoover and thus gain fuel. The fuel that is provided is of high potency. The frequency can be sustained, for instance, an hour-long dirty telephone call, and the amount of fuel ranges from low, dirty text messages through to high, Skype, video, mutual masturbation session. 5. The advantage for the narcissist is that when there is an in-person interaction, you will spot if the narcissist is looking at someone else, talking to someone else, etc. The LDE IPSS rarely realises that the narcissist is texting someone else, ogling at someone else's pictures and composing some huck-like in a chat room whilst engaging with the LDE IPSS. 6. There may be occasional future faking, where the narcissist makes noises about meeting up. This is done on 2 footings. A. Dangling the carrot of promised interaction in order to compel the LDE to send those nudes or make the video. In essence, fuel provision and the current assertion of control. And or B. Where the narcissist instinctively perceives that the control over the LDE is slipping, and therefore the promise is made or the prospect of meeting is offered in order to assert control once again, in effect a preventative hoover. The LDE IPSS is highly unlikely to be able to meet the narcissist in person. A greater narcissist might be moved to meet if they happen to be in the locality of the LDE for other reasons, but the narcissist is not going to go out of his way for this appliance. This is because there will already be physically proximate IPSSs that the narcissist is either engaging with or they will engage with, and because the largest amount of fuel that can be provided is from an in-person proximate interaction, this will always trump the LDE. The LDE IPSS will almost always be engaged with when the IPPS of the narcissist is in devaluation. The LDE IPSS is in essence a sexy, exciting fuel provider, which is a key hidden away in the depths of the internet and is brought out intermittently, maybe nightly, but they always, nearly always, remain in cyberspace. Where a narcissist engaged with someone who is met electronically and who the narcissist engaged with online for a period, but then moves to meet with the IPSS, or NISS, then this is not an LDE. This is an interaction which began online and then moved to an in-person engagement, and thus follows the usual pattern for IPSS or NISS. The LDE-IPSS risks corrective devaluation in the following circumstances. 1. Pestering the narcissist for contact when on the shelf. Repeatedly texting and calling the narcissist causes Hoover triggers. Whilst it is easy to respond electronically to the LDE-IPSS, the narcissist may well be having his fuel needs met by the IPPS, along with IPSSs and or other LDE-IPSS, and therefore has no need to hoover the LDE-IPSS who is texting the narcissist and seeking interaction. An electronic comfort crumb will usually be issued, and then, most usually, a silent treatment will be administered by the narcissist who has felt challenged by the LDE-IPSS, seeking to make a demand on the narcissist when it is not wanted. So control is asserted by ignoring the LDE-IPSS. 2. Issuing threats to the narcissist to make mention of their activity somewhere online. The LDE-IPSS usually does not know where the narcissist lives or has been given incorrect information, and therefore any attempt at reprisal for mistreatment will be directed online. Issuing such threats against the narcissist will result in a corrective devaluation and possibly even disengagement devaluation. 3. Failing to do what the narcissist wants. If the narcissist wants nudes and they are not provided, you threaten the narcissist's control, attacking the sense of entitlement, and there will be a corrective devaluation, which is often triangulation with the IPPS or an IPSS or another LDE-IPSS. The failure to provide the nudes, which are fuel, will wound, a failure to respond, or challenge fuel, replying but refusing to provide them. 4. Since the entirety of the interaction with the LDE-IPSS is electronic, the narcissist's social media laws apply, and chief amongst them is that the LDE-IPSS is expected to respond in an instant. Failure to do so will wound the narcissist and invite a corrective devaluation. The LDE is someone who is met online and is kept there. They will be one of at least 2 LDE-IPSSs, and there, as always, to provide the prime aims, but to do so primarily through a sexual online interaction which will lead nowhere. No matter how much they want to be with the narcissist, no matter how much they express their love and desire for the narcissist, theirs is a lonely existence as they sit, remote, waiting for that electronic arm to reach across the ocean for them. The intimate partner primary source. It is highly unusual for the LDE to be the IPPS, because the amount of fuel needed from the IPPS is such that the narcissist must have it as proximate fuel. Accordingly, even if you spend a lot of time interacting with the narcissist online and through the telephone, but you never meet, even if the narcissist calls you his girlfriend or boyfriend, you will not be the IPPS. There may, however, be an instance whereby you can be the LDE and the IPPS, albeit it is very rare. The description that I'm about to mention fits a situation involving an LDE-IPPS. The narcissist is a mid-range elite. He lives alone, he has family in the city where he lives who he sees intermittently, and various friends and colleagues who he sees quite often, and therefore he has a large bank of non-intimate secondary sources to draw on. He, however, interacts with one source every single day. He is in Europe, and she is in the Middle East. They speak on the telephone frequently throughout the day. They Skype often and for hours at a time, watching the same films, although in different continents, effectively going on virtual dates. They have never met. They see one another through Skype and FaceTime. They swap nude pictures. They engage in mutual masturbation. They even have Skype still going on in the background when they fall asleep, one watching the other sleep, often owing to the difference in time zones. They have never touched one another, never smelt one another, never felt skin on skin, yet spend hours with one another through the power of technology. This is an LDE-IPPS. The narcissist will frequently future fake about meeting in order to keep this person in place. The narcissist will also provide a golden period to this LDE-IPPS and will not be cheating on the LDE-IPPS with anyone else, but eventually it will happen. Just as with the in-person intimate partner primary source, the overwhelming reason why devaluation always occurs is based on the in-person IPPS's fuel becoming stale. This is less likely with the LDE-IPPS. Instead, what will cause the devaluation And, just like the in-person IPPS, the long-distance IPPS will be devalued, is the fact that the fuel provision will not be frequent or large enough because of the LDE factor. The narcissist may end up meeting the LDE eventually, but again, this is rare. There is a reason why this person has been kept the LDE IPPS, and it is because it suits the narcissist, because he gains what he needs through the prime aims, and does so whilst it is easy to exert this control. He does not need to do any chores. He does not need to put his arm around the victim to comfort him or her during the seduction period. He does not have to walk the dog for the LDE IPPS. The LDE IPPS, just like the LDE IPSS, is destined to remain so near through technology, yet so far away owing to the lack of physical proximity, and thus what they believe to be genuine and fulfilling is only going to cause them to become more and more lonely. The long-distance empath will always be lonely.